Insects are usually bisexual, but sometimes reproduction also occurs by parthenogenesis and hermaphroditism. The reproductive system is divided into two parts, namely internal genitalia and external genitalia. The internal genitalia serve to the development of the germ cells. The external genitalia accomplish the union of the two sexes and enable the female to deposit eggs. Types of reproduction. Insects are bisexual. They can undergo sexual reproduction for producing either the eggs or the young ones. However, they also reproduce by other means. Different types of reproduction in insects are oviparity. Insects reproduce by laying eggs by the female on any substrate, either singly or in mass or in groups, which later hatch and reproduce the young ones. Such insects are called oviparous insects. Example, moths and butterflies. Viviparity. It is the phenomenon of reproduction where the female gives birth to the young ones instead of laying eggs. Embryonic development is completed within the female and the embryo gets nourishment from the mother and produce larvae or young ones within the hemocele. These young ones, after some time, emerges out from the mother based on the source of nourishment. Viviparity is classified into four types. Ovoviviparity, the insects retain the eggs within the genital tract until the eggs are ready to hatch or giving birth to the young ones. However, immediately after hatching, the young ones will be released outside. Hence, no special structures are developed for nourishment. Example, Thysanoptera. Adenoparous viviparity. It is a type of viviparity where the eggs have sufficient yolk, complete their embryonic development and retain in the uterus. Eggs hatch and the young ones get nourishment from special nourishment glands called milk glands, which contain milk that have lipids and proteins. When young ones are fully developed, it emerges from the mother and forms into a pupa within a short time and no feeding phase is seen. Example, Glossina pupipara of Diptera. Pseudoplacental viviparity. It is a phenomenon where insects have eggs with little or no yolk. Hatching takes place within the mother and the nourishment for the young one is received through embryonic maternal structure called pseudoplacenta. Example, Scoptera, Dermoptera and aphids. Parthenogenesis. It is the ability of the females to reproduce without fertilization or mating with the males. This usually occurs due to the genetic characters, due to heredity, failure in finding a mate, hormonal changes within the body, and weather factors. Parthenogenesis is classified as based on the occurrence. Parthenogenesis can be sporadic, occurs occasionally as in silkworm. Constant, occurs regularly as in thrips. Cyclic, it is nothing but the alternation of generations where parthenogenesis occurs in alternation with the sexual reproduction as in aphids. Based on the sexes of the offspring produced, parthenogenesis can be arhinotoky, only males are produced as in Hymenoptera, thelitoky, only females are produced as in acridids, amphitoky, both females and males are produced as in hymenopterans, pedogenesis or neoteny. Pedogenesis is the sexual reproduction in an animal that retains its larval features. In insects, it is a phenomenon where the immature insects or stages give birth to young ones. This usually occurs due to hormonal imbalance. Most of the insects which reproduce by pedogenesis also reproduce by parthenogenesis. Example, Cecidomids. Polyembryony. Polyembryony is the phenomenon of two or more embryos developing from a single fertilized egg. Due to the embryos resulting from the same egg, the embryos are identical to one another but are genetically diverse from the parents. It is a type of reproduction where insects reproduce by giving birth to two or more young ones instead of a single one. Example, endoparasitic Hymenoptera like Platygaster. Hermaphroditism. It is a type of reproduction where both male and female gonads are present in the same individual. It may be functional hermaphroditism, as in the case of Eisseria purchasei, or non-functional, as in the case of stonefly Perla marginata. Castration. It is a type of reproduction where the separation of individuals occur mainly due to the development of the reproductive organs. The insects with well-developed ovaries develop into the females or queens. The insects with well-developed testes develop into the males or the drones. And insects with underdeveloped ovaries develop into workers. Example, social insects such as honeybees. Male reproductive systems. Structure and modifications. The internal male reproductive organs consist of a pair of testes, a pair of vas deferens, seminal vesicle, ejaculatory duct, accessory glands, mesodonia, ecdonia, and genitalia. Testes. Plural testes. The pair of testes is practically same as that of the ovaries in Aterygota and very much smaller in Pterygota. They lie in the visceral cavity above the alimentary canal and are connected to the body wall through translucent ducts and are well supplied with trachea and fat body tissues. Each testis consists of number of oval-shaped structures known as follicles or sperm tubes. Each follicle has a layer of epithelial cells. The entire follicle covered by a peritoneal membrane, whereas the testis is completely enveloped within a coat known as the scrotum. Structure of follicle. Each individual follicle is divided into a series of zones or areas characterized by the presence of the sex cells, that is, sperms in different stages of development. These zones are zone of germarium, zone of growth, zone of division and reduction, and zone of transformation. Germarium, zone of spermatogonia, is the region containing primordial germ cells or spermatogonia which undergo multiplication. The zone of growth or zone of spermatocytes is the area where spermatogonia increase in, undergo repeated mitosis and develop into spermatocytes. Zone of division and reduction or zone of spermatids is the area where spermatocytes undergo meiosis and give rise to spermatids. The zone of transformation or zone of spermatozoa is the area where spermatids get transformed into spermatozoa. Spermatozoa are a group of cells which are enclosed in testicular cyst cells from which they are released into vas efferents, the tubular connections of the follicles which combine together to form the vas deferens. Vas deferens is a Latin term meaning carrying away vessel. In the plural form, it is vas deferentia, also called ductus deferens. These are long tubes formed by the union of vas efferents, which receives the sperms from the testis and allow their transport into the ejaculatory duct. Seminal vesicles. Each vas deferens becomes enlarged posteriorly to form a sac-like structure called seminal vesicle for storage of spermatozoa for some time. Ejaculatory duct. Both the vas deferens of the two testes unite posteriorly to form a common median ejaculatory duct. The terminal section of the ejaculatory duct is enclosed in a finger-like evagination of the body wall, the male copulatory organ or oedicus or penis. Accessory glands. These are 1 to 3 pairs of glands which open into the ejaculatory duct. In most cases, their secretion mix with the spermatozoa. These glands are called mushroom glands in cockroaches and mantids because of their appearance as mushrooms. This secretion facilitates sperm transmission from the male to the female. The female reproductive systems. Structure and modifications. The female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries which possess number of ovarioles, a pair of oviducts, common oviduct or median duct, spermatheca, a pair of accessory glands, and bursa copulatrix or copulatory pouch or genital chamber or vagina. Ovaries. These are the prominent visceral organs present on either side of the alimentary canal. Anteriorly, the ovaries get connected with the body walls by means of thread-like suspensory ligaments. The ovaries are covered with fat body and richly covered with trachea. Each ovary consists of a number of ovarioles. Ovarioles. Each ovariole is enveloped by a double-layered cellular wall. The outer wall is called the ovarial sheath, which has an abundant supply of trachea. The inner wall, called tunica propria, is elastic in nature. Each ovariole at its terminal has a filament which unites with other filaments to form a suspensory ligament. Each ovary in insects consists of a group of tapering units called ovarioles. The number of ovarioles in an ovary varies greatly in different insects, usually 4 to 8. In Isoptera, more than 2000. Typical ovariole or egg tube consists of 3 parts, namely the terminal filament, egg tube, and supporting stalk or pedicel. Oviducts. The eggs are discharged into the lateral oviducts. Lateral oviducts. The proximal end of the ovarioles of each ovary join to form a lateral oviduct on each side. The wall of oviduct is glandular and muscular. Median oviduct. 2 lateral oviducts combine to form a median oviduct. Spermatheca is a sac-like structure consisting of a spermathecal gland and opens into the vagina through spermathecal duct. This is mainly used for storing the sperms. It also produces some fluids responsible for longevity of cells for several hours. Accessory glands. These are a pair of collateral glands which open into the distal portion of the vagina and secrete the substance responsible for the formation of ootheca of cockroach, praying mantid, and poisonous secretions in the case of Hymenoptera. This sticky substance are also useful for attachment of egg to the substrate on which they are laid. Bursa copulatrix. In some insects, the genital chamber or vagina develops into a separate pouch called bursa copulatrix, into which insects have 2 reproductive openings. One is vulva for receiving the sperms, open on the 8th sternum, and another one is a ovipore or gonopore on the 9th segment for discharging the eggs. Example, Lepidoptera and water beetles. In most of the insects, median oviduct does not open directly to the outside. It opens into a tubular genital chamber or vagina formed by the invagination of the body wall from 8th segment. The vagina opens outside and the opening is called vulva. Vulva serves both purposes of receiving the sperms and discharging the eggs. Types of ovarioles. Based on the presence or absence of nutritive cells and their location, ovarioles are categorized into 2, namely penoistic ovarioles, in which the nutritive cells are absent and the development of oocytes take place with the help of follicular epithelial cells. Example, Odonata, Dictoptera, Orthoptera, Ephemeroptera. Meriostic ovarioles contain trophocytes or nutritive cells which vary in their position. Based on the position of trophocytes, meriostic ovarioles are classified into polytrophic ovarioles, where developing oocyte and trophocytes arranged alternatively within the vitellarium. Example, Mycoptera, Dermoptera, and Zoocoptera. Acrotopic ovarioles, also called teletrophic ovarioles, where the trophocytes are present in the germarium or apex and are connected with the growing or developing oocytes by cytoplasmic strands. Hemiptera and Coleoptera are examples. Gametogenesis. Gametogenesis is the process by which male and female cells or gametes, that is, the sperms and the ova, are formed respectively in the male and the female gonads, the testes and the ovaries. The gametes differ from the somatic cells in that their nuclei contain half the number of chromosomes, that is haploid, found in the nuclei of somatic cells. Meiosis forms the most significant part of the process of gametogenesis. Gametogenesis for the formation of the sperms is termed as spermatogenesis, while that of the ova is called oogenesis. Spermatogenesis. Spermatozoa are produced in the follicles of the testes. The upper portion of the follicles contain primary germ cells called spermatogonia. These divide repeatedly to form the cysts, which move to the base of the follicle due to the pressure of their own increase. At the base of the follicle, each cell in a cyst undergoes repeated division and may increase in number 5 to 250 times. In the next cell division following this multiplication stage, there occurs the reduction division of the chromosomes. This is followed by a transformation period in which round cells develop into slender, flagellate spermatozoa. These mature sperms escape from the duct of the follicle, vas efferens, into the genital duct, vas deferens, and are stored in an enlarged or coiled portion of this duct, the seminal vesicle, until mating. At the time of mating, the spermatozoa are transferred to the spermatheca of the female, where they are stored until needed for fertilization. Oogenesis. In the germarium, oogonia produce oocytes by mitosis. One oogonium divides into two cells, one primary oogonium and a cytoblast. The blast divides by 4 consecutive mitoses into 16 cells, cytocysts. One of these becomes an oocyte and the other 15 becomes nurse cells or trophocytes. All the 16 cells are surrounded by a single layer of flattened follicle cells. The oocytes and the nurse cells with their follicular covering come to the vitellarium, where the oocyte gets yolk granules from the hemolymph and the nurse cells. As deposition of the yolk continues, the oocyte grows. Then, by meiosis, the oocyte forms two cells, one big cell, the ovum, and the other very small cell, the first polar body. The latter degenerates after some time. In this way, the ovum gets half the number of chromosomes of the species. When the ovum is ready for the transfer to the oviduct, the follicle cells secrete the chorion or the outer shell around it. In cockroach, the nurse cells are absent. Fertilization. Aquatic insect ancestors could discharge sperm into water, but terrestrial insects must transfer sperms to the female. Most insect eggs have a coating to protect the embryo from desiccation. However, they also possess micropiles, small holes to allow the entry of the sperm. There are also other holes, aeropiles, connecting to the air bubbles within the eggshell membranes. Generally, fertilization occurs within the oviduct. As the fertilized egg moves down the oviduct, it is coated with secretions from various accessory organs. In silkworm, fertilization is external, that is, outside the body. Summary: insects are bisexual. They can undergo sexual reproduction for producing either the eggs or the young ones. However, they also reproduce by other means. Different types of reproduction in insects are oviparous, viviparous, parthenogenesis, pedogenesis, polyembryony, hermaphroditism, castration, alternation in generation. Internal male reproductive organs consist of a pair of testes, a pair of vas deferens, seminal vesicle, ejaculatory duct, and accessory glands. The female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries which possess a number of ovarioles, median oviduct, spermatheca, and accessory glands, and bursa copulatrix. Gametogenesis is the process by which male and female sex cells or gametes, that is, sperms and ova, are formed respectively in the male and the female gonads. The gametes contain half the number of chromosomes, that is haploid, in the nuclei. Meiosis forms the most significant part of the process of gametogenesis. Gametogenesis is for the formation of sperms and is termed spermatogenesis, while that of the ova is called oogenesis. Spermatozoa are produced in the follicles of the testes. In the germarium, oogonia produce oocytes by mitosis. By meiosis, the oocytes form two cells, one big cell called the ovum and the other very small cell called the first polar body. The latter degenerates after some time. In this way, the ovum gets half the number of chromosomes of the species. Aquatic insect ancestors could discharge sperm into water, but terrestrial insects must transfer sperm to the female without allowing it to dry out. This is often done via spermatophores, that is, packet of sperms. However, the fertilization is internal or external in insects. Thank you.